It can seem like everywhere you look, people are sharing glamorous trips and raving about travel. But what's not often talked about is the unglamorous side of travel. So today in this episode, we are sharing some of our less than ideal travel moments, along with some really crazy coincidences. Enjoy! Hi, I'm Rhea.
And I'm Dwayne.
And we are your hosts of the Travel Party of Five podcast, where we share how we travel as a family of five around the world.
We will also share how we use points and miles to travel as affordably as possible and sometimes even completely free.
So if you're wanting to travel more with your family, but you're not sure how, we'd love for you to listen in.
So welcome to our podcast where we hope you learn a thing or two to get you closer to your next trip. Hey guys, welcome back to Travel Party of Five podcasts. We are on episode
11.
12.
Oh. Oh yeah, 12. That's right.
We just did 11.
12.
Yeah. So welcome back. If you listen to the intro, you know what this podcast is all about.
Hey, do you know that I learned the other day?
I didn't.
This is off topic, but most podcasts don't make it to the 10th episode. And here we are on episode 12. So I think we deserve a high five.
That's weird. Why don't they make it past
I have no
10?
idea. But I think it was something like 75% of podcasts that are started, they don't make it to episode 10.
That's
so
weird.
We are just elite over here. We are crushing it.
It's because of you and your determination and motivation for sure.
Well, Dwayne and I were trying to kind of brainstorm what we wanted to talk about. And I really got to thinking that a lot of people talk about how travel is so fun and, oh my God, I saw this and I did this and I went here and it was stunning. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. But no one ever talks about the shitty parts of travel.
Yeah, the snafus.
Yeah. The mishaps, what happens when things go wrong. And especially if you travel with kids, there's just so many things that can happen and come up. And so we just thought that today we would talk a little bit about that, because I just feel like it can be almost isolating to think wow, all these people are having these amazing trips and I'm over here with my kid has a fever and won't stop throwing up. And I'm in beautiful, I don't know, Mexico or California or wherever you are. Maui. Yeah. And, I can't enjoy it. So we're going to talk. We each have a few kind of stories before we started traveling with kids about travel mishaps, we'll call them. And then we've obviously got a bunch with kids too. So why don't you tell us about the time you drove over your buddy on a four-wheeler in Mexico?
Yeah, we were there for spring break. This was back in 2006, maybe. Sounds about right. Yeah, he was driving a manual four-wheeler, and I had an automatic one. Mine got stuck, and I was having problems getting it unstuck. I may have or may not have been intoxicated. So he hopped on mine, I hopped on his. He got mine out. And we went to go, and I'm thinking about it, and I popped the clutch while he was standing in front of the four-wheeler, and I literally ran him over.
Was he okay?
I mean, not at first. I mean, he definitely went to the hospital. He had to get some stitches. There was a gash in his leg. Yeah, I mean, we were all worried there for a minute. But
did you learn anything from that situation?
Yeah.
Don't pop the clutch.
Yeah, don't pop the clutch. So.
Oh, well, I'm glad he's okay.
Yep.
That's pretty crazy.
Shout out to Jared, wherever you are.
Goodness. I don't have anything quite that dramatic. like when this is going to sound so trivial compared to that, but one time when I was in Italy, I ordered a pizza that had anchovies on it, and I didn't realize it.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
I was actually really disappointed, though. I just had no idea. I thought it kind of sounded like a familiar pizza, so I ordered it, and I wish I had had a video of me taking the first bite because it was bad. And then I tried to like take off all the toppings and maybe just eat like the crust, and it was still bad.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It was not good. But I did it when I was in Europe on that trip. I did have something pretty bad happen, and that is bed bugs.
Ew.
It was awful. So in 2012, I backpacked through Europe solo for about 2 months total. And
right when we started dating.
Yeah. And there were a couple cities where I had met up with some friends. In Amsterdam, I met up with a friend from Phoenix here. And then in Prague, which is where I got the bed bugs, I met up with a really good friend and her husband from Florida. And he happened to be there for a work conference, and she had tagged along. And so it was pretty random that we were there at the same time, but it was also pretty cool. So we got to hang out in Prague, and ironically, I stayed at hostels almost exclusively the whole time, but the hostel that I stayed in was the nicest one of my whole trip. And 1000% I got bed bugs there, and I was covered in bites, and I didn't even realize that it was bed bugs at first, because the first day I just thought, wow, I really got bit by a mosquito a lot. Like, that's so crazy. And my friend's husband happened to be like, it's probably bed bugs. And I laughed. I was like, poof. I was like, it's not bed bugs. You know, you hear the horror stories, but you think it's never going to happen to you. And then that night I was sleeping and I woke up and I killed a bug on the wall and like blood splattered everywhere. That's so gross. Sorry. Probably should have done a trigger warning. But that was when I realized, like, oh my God, wait, this is bed bugs. So I went to the front desk and I, was like, this is the problem. And they moved me to a new room, but I was still just like so itchy and like, it was terrible. And
yeah, bed bugs
they're
nothing nice.
Horrendous. Fortunately, they didn't get in my luggage or anything like that. And my neck, like, I think I was leaving in a day or two anyways, and I was heading to Italy. And so I didn't have any more issues with them, but the bites did not go away for probably 2 months. Like, I still had scars and like marks from the bites when I came back to the US. Okay. And I had to scour Italy for some type of antihistamine and like cream because they were so itchy. It was so uncomfortable. And it was summer. So it's like you're hot and, the temperature outside is hot, which makes the bites worse. And so that was terrible. And I check every bed in every hotel we go to for signs of bed bugs now, don't I?
Yep.
It was awful. Yeah. Sometimes things just don't go the way you thought. And I swear to you, this was the nicest hostel of anyone I stayed in. And it was, it can happen anywhere. Okay, what else do we have?
The year we went to Hawaii. Tell me what happened.
Okay. Well, this is not a terrible thing, but this is like a incredibly weird coincidence. And we've actually had two.
I was talking about your pants.
Oh, my pants. Oh, okay. Yes. We went to Hawaii, went to Oahu, and I had on these like workout leggings. And first of all, they were beautiful. They were like, I don't know, blue and white, and like had a really fun like wave type pattern to them. They were great leggings, but they were kind of tight. And we had gone out with Dwayne's whole family for the day. We were exploring the whole island. We were going to drive around the whole island of Oahu. Okay. And it's like our first stop. And there was like a wall that you had to kind of climb over. So I sat on this wall and I like lifted up my legs and went to turn around to like get over the wall. And my pants ripped in the butt. And it was a big rip. Oh my God. And so, and again, this is the morning. This is like our first stop. So we have the whole day. Like, there's no going home. And there's like 10 people with us.
We didn't have any extra clothes.
I had no extra clothes. I had nothing. So someone gave me a jacket. I like tied it around my waist, and then we spent a lot of time trying to find like something I could change into. And I don't even remember what I ended up buying, but it was like some type of skirt or something. There wasn't a lot of options. But it was some type of like Hawaiian wrap
like
skirt.
a muumuu.
Yeah. And it was really embarrassing. I remember Dwayne's sister being like, well, maybe it's not that bad. Let me see. And then she saw and she was like, oh, nope, it's bad. And RIP to those leggings because I really liked those.
What were they? The Lululemon before Lululemon or what?
I think they were like from Old Navy. I don't know. Yeah, but I still see them in some of our Hawaii pictures, and I feel nostalgic for them. I feel like from before kids, that's probably it. Do you want to talk about the 2 weird coincidences that we had in Hawaii? And then we'll talk about the other coincidences at the end.
You're talking about my friends?
Yeah. So, okay. So we're in Oahu.
I thought you wanted to tell it because you said
No, I want to tell the other one. I want to tell the California one.
Oh. Yeah, same trip. Actually, we were in Hawaii, and we were going to go to Buffalo Wild Wings because.
Well, wait. First we went to some kind of shrimp truck or something.
That's right. Yeah, it was like what was it called? It's not Matsumoto. That's that shaved ice.
I don't know, but it was some type of outdoor like food thing.
Yeah,
we were shrimp,
because shrimp trucks are very popular in Oahu or Hawaii.
Yeah.
So yeah, we stopped by the shrimp truck that was out just like on the side of the road. And I just happened to look up and I saw an ex-girlfriend of mine from Japan, which I thought was crazy.
Yeah. So Dwayne went to high school in Japan.
Yeah.
And so we are in Hawaii, and there is his high school ex-girlfriend.
Yeah. And what's funny is I saw her, she saw me, but, I was there with my family. She was there with her family.
They didn't speak.
Yeah. And we just acted like we didn't see each other.
Okay. So then on the same trip, after that happened, we are on the same trip. And we are going to Buffalo Wild Wings to watch some game.
It was NBA playoff time, baby.
And we are in the parking lot. We are driving through the parking lot trying to find
a parking spot.
And this girl walks in front of our car. And Dwayne says, Anne?
I'm like, holy shit. It's my friend Anne from college. Super, super weird. And I mean, it was
like from college in Phoenix.
Yeah,
I might add.
College in Phoenix. Yeah, it was really, really crazy to see her there.
Super weird. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know her before then, but so weird. Twice on the same trip.
Yeah, within days, if not day.
Yeah, crazy. Crazy how things like that happen.
Tell them about my other coincidence.
I'm going to tell that at the end because I think it's a great story, but I'm going to save that for the end. It's so weird. Okay. Let's talk about when we went to Disney World for the first time, and we thought it was a good idea to fly on Frontier. And by we, I mean me. It was me. I chose this because it was cheap.
Never will I fly Frontier again.
And so, so we have 2 kids at this time. And we're actually going to Florida for my sister's college graduation. But we decided to tack on a day at Disney World first. So we do a couple nights at Disney and then we go and go to her graduation and stuff. So we scheduled these flights on Frontier. It was really cheap and I'm like, it'll be great. But then Frontier changes the flight. And we went from having maybe a 1 or 2 hour layover in Denver to having a overnight layover in Denver. And again, we have 2 kids that are probably 6 and 3.
They changed this flight like a day or 2 before. You know what I mean?
I don't remember when they changed it, but I just remember being like, wait, what? So we decide at the time, okay, we will stay overnight in Denver. We get a hotel in Denver. And we're like, we'll just explore the city a little bit in the morning. We'll go back to the airport and, it'll be fine. Well, let me just tell you, we did that. We went to a hotel, but in May 1st in Denver, it was snowing.
Crazy.
Okay? And we are from Phoenix and we are going to Florida, where it is going to be warm. And we have no coats. We have no we
Pants.
have nothing to prepare us for snow. And we have 2 kids with us that are, I'm pretty sure the boys were 6 and 3 at the time. So we have little kids. It is legitimately snowing and we are like exploring the streets of Denver, just like YOLO, I guess.
5 and 2, I think they were.
Maybe. And I mean, I don't know what we used some kind of blankets to like wrap up one in the stroller. And I'm sure people were looking at us like, what is wrong with these people? Yeah, that was, yeah. I mean, things just, they don't go as planned sometimes. You just got to roll with it.
All right, what's next?
I think like if you don't like talking about throw up, you should probably fast forward for a few minutes. But when you travel with kids, first of all, I travel with a pharmacy because
huge bag of
they
meds.
always get sick. Always. I have stuff for whatever could ail them.
Thermometers, everything.
Our kids get fevers. Our son had a fever in Washington, D.C. just a few months ago. We just talked about in our last episode, our oldest son and I got some type of food poisoning when we were in California last year. Our daughter, one time, we were trying to remember what hotel this was, and we cannot remember, but one time she just threw up all over the pack and play in the hotel.
Yeah.
All over the hotel sheets and everything. It only happened the one time, so I don't know what was wrong with her, but that was not fun to clean up in the middle of the night. When a couple years ago, my youngest, my daughter, and I went to North Carolina and Atlanta to see my sister, and we drove to see my grandparents at the time. And it was about a 5 or 6 hour drive between Atlanta and where they live in North Carolina. And we were driving back and my daughter just threw up everywhere in the car, all over. So my sister and I had to pull into a rest stop and clean her. Fortunately, she cleaned her up, and I cleaned the car seat as best as I could.
Which you had to buy at Walmart, right?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's another thing. Yep. And so
you were supposed to get a car seat from
on that same trip. So we tried Turo for the first time, which if you don't know what Turo is, it is basically like the Airbnb of car rentals. So instead of renting from an Enterprise or a Hertz, you would rent from an individual person who rents out their extra vehicle or whatever. And so there's an app and you have to go through the app just like Airbnb. And this car was supposed to be waiting for us at the airport in Atlanta, which it was. But I had requested a car seat, and what was in the car was a booster. And, you know, I messaged the guy like, hey, this is not a car seat. Like, this is a booster for kids that are like 6 and up. And my daughter is 2 and also very tiny. I was like, there is no way that she can safely ride in this. Like, it's just impossible. And so we waited at the airport for a while trying to figure out, you know, could he arrange for someone on his team to bring us an actual car seat? And it ended up just not working. So what I had to do, which again was not ideal, but I mean, sometimes you're in these situations and you have to make some kind of a decision.
Yeah,
so
you gotta do what you gotta do.
I looked up the nearest Walmart to the airport. I put her in the booster in the back as best as I could. And then I drove to Walmart. I bought a car seat, cheapest one I could find, which was like $100. I installed the car seat in the car. And then I asked him if he would just pay me for the car seat at the end. And he did. He reimbursed me for the car seat. I left him the car seat in the car after I had cleaned the throw up off of it. We had to like, we washed it as best we could. And then when we got back to where we were staying in Atlanta, we had to wash it all and let it dry and put it back together. And it was completely fine after that. But yeah, that was another snafu where things did not go as planned. let's see. Oh, when we were at the San Diego Safari Park, our oldest was having some kind of attitude. I don't remember about what. And he stormed off. And I think we had said like we were leaving. Like the kids were not behaving. And so we were leaving early, and we had only been there for an hour or two. And we had planned to be there the whole day. And so we were like, oh, you're not behaving. We are leaving. And he was mad. So he stormed off ahead of us, but he got so far ahead of us that we couldn't see him and we couldn't find him.
Well, it's because I was following him and it was so busy. Like I took my eyes off of him for like a second, and then I turned back around and I was like, holy shit, where'd he go?
Yeah, he was gone. And like our oldest, he's like pretty like capable, I would say. So I wasn't completely panicked, but I was mad.
I'm not going to lie, I was panicked.
I felt like I knew him enough to know that he was probably going to the car. Like he is incredibly stubborn. But, there's always that like, what if? And so we had to contact the park security, and they had to, I don't know, go on their little radio, and someone found him.
Yeah, he was at the front gate trying to go to the car.
Oh, I knew it. Yeah. But I mean, it was a little bit nerve-wracking, and then Dwayne and I got into a huge fight over it too.
Yeah, huge fight.
And so it was just, sometimes these things happen.
Yep. And so speaking of losing kids, I hate to say it, but that wasn't the first time.
Yeah.
One time we were in Disney World. This was the second time for our boys, first time for our daughter. She was almost 2. We were getting in line to ride, what was it, Mickey Mouse Road?
The runaway, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
Yeah, something was, our fast passes or whatever wasn't working, and we were all waiting in line, and they were trying to fix the issue.
No, I think we had to go put something in the stroller. Like our son had brought something with him that he wasn't supposed to, so we went back to the stroller.
Yeah.
Where we had parked the stroller.
Yeah. And, we just figured everyone's following us. And then Rhea looks at me and goes, where's Aria? And I was like,
well, because you have been carrying her.
Yeah.
And then I think you put her down when we got to the stroller. And then you didn't pick her back up. And then we were walking back into the ride. And, as like, I'm always just counting, like 1, 2, 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. But this time it was only 1, 2. Where's the third one? And I was like, where's Aria? And he just looked at me like, I don't know. Where's Aria?
Yeah. Again, panics set in. We frantically ran around the place for a little bit, and then some Disney worker must have saw us and was like, hey, does she belong to you?
Well, so he was kind of standing there at the entrance to the ride, and we were like, we can't find our daughter. And he was just very calm, and he was just like, is that her over there by the strollers? And we all look, and sure enough, there she is, just still standing by our stroller,
sucking on her pacifier,
just talking away to herself. Like, I don't even think she realized we were gone.
No.
I mean, and it was probably only 30 seconds to a minute total, but like
felt for like forever.
It's so scary when that happens. Gosh.
And I mean, this is Disney World. It was packed.
Yeah. So many people. Just, as a parent, your mind just always goes to the worst thing. So really glad that turned out okay. Gosh.
All right. What's next?
I feel like maybe that's it that I can think of, except for your crazy coincidence story that I would love to tell.
Please do.
Okay. So again, I need to preface this by saying that Dwayne grew up in Japan. Okay. Dwayne went to high school in Japan.
Very small school.
Yes. Okay. So we go to San Diego. This was, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. And it was, the trip was a gift to Dwayne, I think, from me.
For my birthday.
Yeah. And so I had planned like, okay, we're going to stay here. And I think we stayed in an Airbnb.
Yeah. Pretty nice Airbnb too. The tree house.
Yeah, it was nice. And we, I had gotten some recommendations from restaurants from a coworker who goes to San Diego a lot. And one of them was a restaurant called Great Maple. And I really wanted to go there for breakfast. They have like these maple bacon donuts and like the menu looked really good. And so I was super excited. And I was like, we're going to go here for breakfast. And Dwayne does not like sweet things. And they have a savory menu, but he was just like not really all about it. He didn't really want to go.
Was not about it.
I don't really know why, but he just was like, all right, I guess. So we go to this restaurant. We sit down. We're looking at the menus. And it's like a kind of restaurant where they have like this open air kitchen. So you can see the chefs and you can see, you know, the food being made. And all of a sudden, Dwayne was like, I think I know that girl. And I'm like, what girl? And he's like, the chef. Like, I'm pretty sure I went to high school with that girl.
Well, I mean, I knew her. I think I was like, I think that's my friend Carmine back there.
Yeah. So then you got up and you like looked closer?
Yeah, like got up and I looked and we caught eyes and I was like, Carmine? And she's like, Dwayne? So, yeah, we finished eating and...
Turns out she was like the executive chef at this restaurant. Yeah, she was the executive chef
there. I knew she was a chef in San Diego. I just didn't know where.
And so she had like helped them design their entire menu for this restaurant and all their locations. And the food was delicious. Yeah. Like, it was very good. And so we end up hanging out with her that night. We go out to, I don't know, some restaurant. We get dinner. We have a few drinks. And, you know, Dwayne and her are catching up on all their friends from high school. And they're
because we were close in high school. She was definitely one of the homegirls. Yeah.
And so they're chatting about all these different people, right? And, you know, I'm just kind of listening because I don't know any of these people, but I like a good story. And
so we're talking about my friend Grace and her boyfriend and, you know, what happened with them and, you know, why they split up because I knew they split up and all this other stuff.
And so then, you know, the night ends and we go on our way, right? We go back to our Airbnb and it is what it is. And so the next day we plan to go to Hodad's, which is like a really popular burger joint in Ocean Beach, I think is the one we went to. They have a few different locations, but I think we went to the one in Ocean Beach because we wanted to be by the beach. And this is like it's popular. So there's a line pretty much at all times. And so we are standing in line at this burger place. And all of a sudden, Dwayne turns around. And apparently he knows the guy standing behind us.
Well, no, he like walked out, didn't he?
No, they were in line. Like, I'm pretty sure, or maybe they were, I don't know.
No, they were walking out.
Were in line.
We were in line and they were walking out.
Okay, fine.
And I was like, holy shit, Christian? And he's like, Dwayne? And yeah.
This was one of the people that they had been talking about the night before.
Which is crazy.
So weird. And yeah, there he was. And so then they chatted for a minute and then we went on our way to get our burgers. But I mean, I was just like, what are the chances of this happening twice on this trip? And it had already happened to us twice in Hawaii. Like, things like that are so weird to me. I don't know.
Such a small world.
It is such a small world. And I always take things like that as like a sign that you're like on the right path, you know, like you're where you're supposed to be. That's what I think about that. Anyways, yeah. So mishaps, coincidences, you know, things. I think we can probably wrap this episode up, but you know, things don't always go the way that we've planned. And I think that's okay. Like, one reason that we are both so passionate about traveling, and especially traveling with our kids, is that I completely believe that traveling teaches problem solving, critical thinking. It builds their self-confidence. And, you know, as they learn how to navigate through problems like, you know, losing your child, or someone threw up, you know, like whether it's a big problem or a small problem, you really learn how to rely on yourself when you're outside of your comfort zone and you don't have the normal comforts of home around to help.
Learn to adapt.
And I feel like that really, as a person for me, has built my self-confidence a lot. And I really hope that I am able to instill some of that in our kids as well. So,
well, yeah, I think that's it. As always, we appreciate you guys for listening.
Yeah. I hope this episode gave you a few laughs, maybe. If you have any crazy travel mishaps or coincidences, we would love to hear them. Maybe we'll even feature them on a future episode if people send us some good stuff.
Yeah, that would be fun.
So you can email us, raya@travelpartyof5.com. You can find us on Instagram, travel_party of5, and send them that way. But we would love to hear, and we really appreciate you, and thank you for listening.
Have a good one.
See you later.